Thereasa. I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Thereasa. Grateful to be here, grateful to be sober because of a loving God. I'm always like, all right, God, I'm here. It would be one thing, like I'm in deep meditation. I'm like, no, I'm just talking to God. I'm like, all right, they're looking at us. Anytime now, this is your gig. I just showed up. Ooh, because if you leave it up to me, it'd be pretty scary. My stomach's turning, my heart's pounding. I'm always nervous. That's a good thing. I always say when the day comes when I'm not nervous, I need to sit down somewhere. Because I think I know something. I'll probably do a little performance for you. I want to thank the committee for asking me to come out. Everyone's been great. My first time in Arkansas. I know I'm in a different place. When you said we got some fixins. I was like, okay. My head, anyway. I'm ESL, so I'm thinking I'm going to go in and fix something. But anyway. My sponsees always remind me, oh, she's ESL. Spanish is my, English is my second language, so it takes me a minute sometimes. So fixing threw me off. It's all right. Arkansas, okay. I'm always tripping out the places. God got a sense of humor. Puerto Rican girl in Arkansas. I don't think y'all got Puerto Ricans out here. I haven't really seen anybody Latin, but anyway. I remember being in Sweden, Puerto Rican in Sweden. I was like, this is funny. Very strong accent. But the committee's been great. I've enjoyed the weather. Really, I have. It's beautiful. I was thinking about the mayor coming out, Sharon, just now. That kind of blew me away. That means you guys must be a mess. If the mayor is grateful the AA's in town. I was like, oh boy, you drunks start some serious trouble around here. Y'all get sober while the mayor gets happy. I'm like, thank you so much. Please keep coming back. I was like, wow. Most people would see that as a major compliment. I seen it as something else. I was like, ooh, you guys are scary. Anyway. This one tells me she talks to her judge. This one, y'all, it's a small town. Anyway. I'm in LA. I don't know if the mayor comes out, but anyway. It's just funny. Oh, goodness. Got parole officers in a minute. It's all good. My host has been great. We've gotten along. I am low maintenance, and it's nice. She's high maintenance, but not really. It just still weirds me out when I have somebody following me around, and, some sponsees pointed out to me that I tend to kind of be like, okay, bye, This is kind of weird. I gotta go to the bathroom, just kind of go somewhere. Just another drunk, thank you. So I still get a little awkward. I never thought that my experience can benefit others, ever. God has a sense of humor. I'm definitely, if you be new, I need to tell you that I don't represent Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm not a spokesperson for them, and I certainly don't get paid to do this. I need to share that. I'm just another drunk who gets to share my experience, strength, and hope. I got to remember that. There are no big shots in AA, and I love that nobody governs. When I say God has a sense of humor, I do great one-on-one. I'm not into talking in front of large crowds. It wasn't something that I always said I wanted to do. I can't wait to get to this podium. I remember I used to be nervous just to read. But I was taught to give back what was so freely given to me. And so I don't know how not to do that, even though it's uncomfortable. I'm not into flying.
I'm always still to this day, I call my sponsor and I'm like, I'm not a world traveler, you know, and she laughs, ha 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 ha, and hangs up on me. So, but I am grateful to be here. I really am grateful to be sober, and I want to welcome anyone who's new to my new friends in the house. For you see, I got on that plane even though I was uncomfortable, and I'm standing up here in front of you even though it's uncomfortable for you. You're welcome. The beautiful thing about this is that there's an even exchange. It's a win-win situation. But you see, when I show up for you and my hand extends to you, I get to stay sober another day too. That's the beauty of it. I always think about Bill. Bill said, if I don't talk to another drunk, I'm going to get drunk. So we get to keep it that simple. If you be new, again, I want to welcome you to Alcoholics Anonymous and tell you that the program works if you work it. And that there is a moment of silence and prayer that takes place in every meeting all over the world. And that is for you. But for the grace of God, you have been lifted up and brought into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. That was not your idea. And you don't get credit for that one. You've been given a gift, and it's a gift unearned. I hope you learn to polish it, water it, and take care of it, boy. So easily lost. How you see here, just hold on and strap on, because you're about to go for a ride. And just keep coming back and let us love you until you can learn to love yourself. And don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. Any old timers in the house, thank you for my life and my sobriety. I still want what you have, and I don't ever want to lose that. So I need you. I want to grow up to be just as spiritually mature as you are. And I even like the grumpy ones. I really do. I like the grumpy old timers because then I watch the other old timers, you know, and they just been dealing with them for 30 years. They just be like, oh. You know, so I learned from them too. Just love each other. We share in a general way what it used to be like, what happened, and what it's like now for a reason. The doctor's opinion talks about depth and weight. It is the language of the heart. It is the only thing that will capture the attention to a drunk like me. And if you be new, I hope you hear the music. For you see it get past your head where a disease lies and go straight into the heart, boy. And we've ruined your drinking forever. You can't drink the same again. I was telling the girls when they picked me up, a woman called me. She had relapse and she was crying on the phone. She was drinking. And she said, oh, I didn't think I could ever dare to call you. I heard you speak a couple times and I'm listening to your CD. And I'm like, and you're drinking? She was like, yeah, I'm drunk and I feel bad. I'm like, you're drinking listening to me? I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, you're not having fun, are you? You might as well just come on back. So she did. She just called me yesterday. I think she got like 6 days. But it's just so we ruin your drinking. You know, I just think it's sad. I've had that happen to a lot of people listening to me while they're drinking. That's so pitiful. My goodness. I'm like, I want you to get your drink on. That's what I told her. You're not having fun. You know, she was embarrassed. And you know, this is my first time in the program. So she was really embarrassed. And I was telling her it's normal for us to drink. It's abnormal for us to be sober. That's what we do. That's what makes it a miracle. That I'm sober today. I should be drinking right there with her. It's trippy. And I told them, if you're having a good time, if it's feeling good, have one for me. Because you see, I'm a real alcoholic. My greatest obsession is to drink like normal people. If it was still working, I'd be there doing it. I've heard some people in the room say alcohol still works for me. I'm like, and you here? Why? Why are you here? Took a whole lot to get me to Alcoholics Anonymous. Faith without works is dead. Been thinking about that since I got here. Have a lot going on. My story's intense. Sometimes I want to go rated R, adult content, adult language, violence, nudity. Some people tell me I should write a book or do a movie, but I think my story serves itself well in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. If you be new, I ask that you listen to the similarities and not the differences. And you get to ask yourself a couple of questions like, that happened to me, I felt that way too, and more importantly, perhaps this program can work for me. As the story goes, I enjoy Bunny. She is adorable. I love her. And Bob, is he? Where is he? I love your voice. I know. There's something about it, right? I kept talking about him all night. It's so comforting. I kept going. That's why every time I see him, I'd be like, hi. How are you? Anyway. Just I can hear his voice. Oh, goodness. Oh, man. As the story goes, I'm born addicted. I always say I don't have the luxury of going to a prom one day and somebody passing me a drink because I felt awkward. And, you know, I love to hear the stories of how your first experience with alcohol and how that sensation goes down and you feel a sense of comfort and ease. And I like that story. Perhaps that was my experience in my mother's womb. I don't know. I don't remember. But my mother is an alcoholic. Everyone in my family are alcoholics and or addicts. I only have 4 members of our family who are not. That's my brother, my cousin Petra, my grandmother, and my dad. Nobody likes them very much. It's not like we wanted to aspire to be like them. So as my mother tells the story, I'm a product of rape. My dad has a different perspective on that situation. My mother did everything possible to abort me. She did a lot of drugs. She's been in and out of mental institutions. She still claimed to be clinically insane. And she drank a lot. And so when I came out of my mother's womb, I came out begging for some more alcohol. She left me in the hospital. I was sick. I'm a preemie. It was my grandmother and my dad who came to get me. And the only way to keep me quiet was to put alcohol in my bottle and on my gums. And I drank every day, all day, for 25 years of my life until I crawled into these rooms on March 29, 1990. So I didn't know a life other than that life, you see. See, when I drank, that's just what you do. My relationship with alcohol goes deep. Alcohol is my lover, it was my companion, it was my friend. For you see, alcohol told me if nobody loves you, I love you. You don't need nobody, I'll take care of you. Come from a lot of abuse. Physical abuse, sexual abuse. I lost my virginity around 5. People took turns with my body. I went from room to room. Family members, neighbors, friends, strangers who just walked in on the streets or whoever my mother picked up. I thought that's what everybody did. I didn't question that. For you see, alcohol told me it don't matter. Physical abuse was a level of communication. So I thought it was normal for people to beat me. I was always stupid, an idiot, you're nothing, you're nobody, you're not enough, spit on, kicked on. You know, when I talk about that girl, I feel like I'm talking about myself in third person. I feel like I'm talking about a stranger. We talk about a psychic change around here. Alcoholics Anonymous, what I've become, you know, I am not the woman who crawled into these rooms. And when I talk about her, you know, what's amazing to me was that was a normal way of living. I really have to stress that. I didn't question question the way I lived. I wasn't shocked or appalled. I didn't say there was something wrong with the way I was growing up. That's just the way I grew up. I went to Catholic school. I put a uniform on and a smile on my face. I said the Hail Mary and the Our Father. I took my communion on Sundays. I sang in the choir. I did confession on Saturdays. I thought that was life. Say, thank God for alcohol. I don't know where I would have been without it. But yet my brother grew up in the same household and he didn't require it. So I can't tell you that I'm an alcoholic because of my family. It took me a long time to deal with that here in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I blamed my mother for years sitting up in here with you people. I heard a lot of people say, I can't blame alcoholism on my family. So like, I can. I didn't give myself alcohol in the womb. I had to go beyond the womb to take responsibility for my drinking. I had to go into my soul contract. So I can let go of that idea. So my life was tumultuous, right? Most people would say that. Abusive, dysfunctional. It was normal. I've been in and out of mental institutions as well. I've seen enough two-way mirrors, ink blots. They all look like butterflies, every single one of them. To this day, I swear they all look like butterflies. And I still don't know what that's about. Maybe someday somebody explain to me why the ink blot's supposed to help me. I don't know. I've been in and out of juvie. I went to Fresh Air Fun, some woman named Bunny with a donkey making apple pies. I don't know what that was about. I've had big sister programs. I went to the YMCA. I had mentorship stuff. But you see, I had teachers that I believe were great that were trying to help. I'm sure therapists were trying to help, but the only thing that helped was alcohol. That was the only thing that stopped the noise. That was the only thing that gave me oxygen. Sitting in a therapist room wasn't going to stop the noise. You know, I tell people I didn't come to Alcoholics Anonymous because of the consequences of my drinking. Consequences don't get my attention. I'm a real alcoholic. It takes a whole lot. I don't have a couple of martinis, sleep with a stranger, run my car in a tree, and then go, I think I'm going to go to AA. I need help. Those are normal people. I've seen people shot. I've seen people OD. I put them in the closet. I'm not going to no hospital. They ask questions where I come from. I've walked down the street with my cousin and they're shot. For you see, my heroes and my role models were pimps, dealers, prostitutes, hustlers. I hung out with Colombians. And this was in my house. This was my family. I ain't even talking about in the neighborhood. People be thinking I'm in the bad neighborhood. No, that was my house. The neighborhood was scared of us. Puerto Rican girl from New York City. The same thing that was going on in the projects was the same thing that was going on in the mountains in Puerto Rico. There was nothing different. For you see, in my family, the only person who had a problem was somebody who ain't got no teeth and who ain't got no job. As long as you got your teeth and you got a job, you're doing all right. When we died in our family, you died with your drink of choice or your drug of choice. We take pictures with you in the coffin, holding the bottle of beer. Doesn't matter, you died from dialysis, kidney failure, cirrhosis of the liver, cracking your skull, getting shot, ODing. We still taking pictures. Hey, more for us. Angie said, you crazy. It's true. You would consider me a bad girl. I was arrogant, egotistical. Of course, I had issues with authority figure. I didn't listen to nobody. I left home at 14. My man was 26 years old. He beat me on a daily basis. You couldn't have told me that wasn't love. That was my man. And I just asked him not to hit me in the face. And he kept me supplied with Southern Comfort and everything else I wanted. That was the life I knew. Alcohol made it all right. I understand when they say drinking is only but a symptom. But you see, what happens to a drunk like me when all of a sudden your best friend, your companion, your lover betrays you and turns his back on you? That's what alcohol did to me. I was 24 years old, and all of a sudden, the very thing that I knew that allowed me to breathe each and every day, to get through 24 hours, all of a sudden didn't do that for me no more. Now what am I supposed to do? I don't know how to live. I'm emotionally retarded. I got no coping skills. I don't know how to function. Everything I did was through alcohol. Wasn't aware of it at the time. Most people wouldn't even think I had a problem with alcohol. I didn't need to chug a lug. I don't need to go to parties. I don't need to be like dancing butt naked on the table and all that stuff. I drank at home and I sipped. I could never run out. I didn't share my booze with nobody. You come to my house, you need to bring your own. I drank like water. I go downtown a lot, back home in LA, down in Skid Row, man. Those drunks down there don't need a lot. Because my whole blood system is full of alcohol. I don't need a whole bottle. I just need to make sure that that don't run out. Because the day it runs out is the day I'm in trouble. I used to give people an example. I smoke cigarettes. I smoke 20 cigarettes a day. If I give you one, that leaves me 19. I got a problem. It's an issue. What happened to me? The best description is I say that one day I was at the bar and I'm sitting down. I love the neighborhood bars. So you see, I grew up in shooting galleries, crack houses, bars, and clubs. I love the smell of the dirty rug, the leather seats, the mirror, the dirty walls. It's dark. In New York, they don't really close the bars. And if you VIP like me, you don't have to leave. They shut down for the people. You stay there. You know what I mean? They open up 6 in the morning. They close at 5. It's all good. All I know is that I'm sitting in the neighborhood bar, drinking, and I looked over at you, and you were still ugly. Uh-oh! We got a problem now. I don't know how to do that one. You're supposed to transform by now. That's what happened to me. I woke up with another stranger and I noticed. That's all. That's what started happening to me. Remember I said consequences don't get my attention. It's when I start noticing is when there's a problem. I always slept with strangers. Cousin it, of course. They're the best ones to rip off. Now all of a sudden I'm noticing and my stomach is turning. I don't know what's happened to me, but I'm starting to feel sick. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm disgusted of who's looking back at me. I never noticed that before. I know how to dress up my outsides and look real cute, and you have no idea that I'm dying on the inside. Alcohol allowed me to put on my makeup, fix my hair, fix my clothes, get it together, and go back out there and do it all over again. I tell people the good old days for me is getting sodomized, gang raped, and pistol whipped. As long as I can just shake it off, get it together, we can do that again. But those same things are happening and I can't get it together no more. And I can't shake it off no more, and I'm wondering what's happening. I said, I lost my hustle. I didn't mind walking down the alleys at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I dare you to come up on me. But now all of a sudden I'm paranoid. I don't know nothing about being paranoid. I'm tripping. I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm freaking out. I'm noticing people in the street moving really fast. They were moving really fast. Things were just going too fast for me. I was waiting for things to slow down, and my head's pounding. I didn't understand. You know, what tripped me out was, I'm telling you, I've been drinking since fetus. I didn't take no New Year's resolution. I didn't say tomorrow I'm going to stop. I never said any of that. I knew that I was going to drink for the rest of my life. That's all I know how to do, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm willing to go to any lengths to do that. I'll leave any relationship. You cannot become between me and my alcohol. No job, no family, no friends, no lover, nothing. You got to go. Where I come from. And we ain't lying about it. I didn't walk around pretending like I didn't have a problem or that I don't drink. Most Latinos, I used to teach DUI classes. In the English classes, nobody's an alcoholic. Okay, it's just an unlucky streak or something like that. I have fun with the English classes. They were adorable, Nobody, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm like, shh, don't tell nobody. I'm like, that's embarrassing. That means you're just irresponsible and have reckless behavior. Because you're supposed to be responsible. But in the Latin classes that I would do, all of the Latins in that class would say, I'm an alcoholic, ¿y qué? That means I'm an alcoholic, and what about it? What about it? What's the problem? That's where what's the problem? So I knew I had a problem. I drink, so what? You don't like it? Get out of my face. You don't want to be with me? Goodbye. Because you can't feel what alcohol feels for me. So what ended up happening to me was alcohol was no longer feeling what I had always felt. And it left me bankrupt. It left me lost. It left me deprived. It left me terrified. I do not know how to live in this world without a drink. I don't know how to function. I don't know how to see the look of disgust on your face and it be wiped away. For you see, alcohol used to wipe it away. But now that memory of the disgust in your face keeps coming up and it keeps coming up and I can't get rid of it. And I was tripping out. I was like, stop it. I don't want to see that no more. I want to be able to do the things that I used to do and it didn't matter. But now all of a sudden it mattered and it mattered and it got worse and it got worse. My bottom was 6 months. I had 6 months of that life. I couldn't survive. I could not survive living like that. Now the only thing that I could do was welcome death into my life. I regretted every moment I woke up with another breath. I couldn't stand it. I remember my oldest Colombian, 2 kilos. I grew up with him since I was a kid. And I had a contract out for my life. And I went looking for him to take me out. I'll never forget that day that I sat in that bar and I watched that door. I walked in, I told the guys, yo, I'm here. Tell him I'm here. He's looking for me. And they said, we'll be back. I sat there for 2 hours looking at that door, just waiting for that man to come in and just blow me away, man. That man never showed up. 2 hours. I felt like West Side Story. I'm very Latin. When he was like, look, get me too, Chino. That one. Those days were dark and they were painful. You told me not to ever forget my last drunk. I remember the good old days, but what haunts me are the days that were painful. The days where it wasn't fun anymore, where I wasn't cute anymore, where my best asset didn't serve me no more. Women, if you truly understand. Some people say it don't have no face. After a while, yes, it does. I can't even sell myself. I'm willing to do what's necessary for just a little bit. I remember the highlight of my day was going to the neighborhood bar and putting a coin in the jukebox so I could jitterbug with this man so he could buy me a drink, and I was shaking so bad I was sick. So I'm not drinking anymore because I want to. I'm drinking because I have to. And I'm scared. I can't go to work no more. I can't pay bills anymore because I'm just trying to get tight. I love how Dr. Bob says, I'm just trying to get tight, see? So I'm spending 24 hours on a run just trying to get tight. And even though I come up short, I'm going to spend another hour trying to get tight again. Because all I know is I need to get tight. And the day I get tight and I get it back together, I'm going to be okay. And it never came. It never came. My last drunk was this. I'm pregnant on my 4th child. I've lost 3 prior. I always say I'm amazed of women who have children in their disease. That is not the case for me. That is not my experience. All my babies fall out in toilets and in floors. And I just flush the toilet, clean myself up, and keep walking. But this baby wasn't falling out in the toilet like the other babies. And it was doing some weird stuff to my body. And I just wanted it to fall out on the floor like the other ones. It was doing some strange things to me. And things were going too fast. And I was sick a lot. My mother had moved to California, and I was bouncing back and forth from my dad's house to my grandmother's house, and I would show up with the level of arrogance. Oh, I think about how many times I would show up at my grandmother and my dad's house, smelly and nasty and dirty, and did not occur to me how many sleepless nights they had waiting to get that phone call that I was going to be dead somewhere. And I would show up and say, mind your business, go get me something to eat, get out of my face. And put my dirty socks in my grandma's face. And my grandma used to say, it's something in la mente, it's something in your mind. And my dad stopped talking to me. I don't remember when he had stopped talking to me, but Daddy wasn't talking to me anymore. I didn't understand why Daddy wasn't talking to me anymore. I find it quite funny. Remember I said it was my grandmother and my father who came to get me in the hospital, and in my bottom it was my grandmother and my father that I was with. They taught me unconditional love. I learned it in hindsight. Pregnant on my 4th child, I was sick a lot, and this baby wasn't falling out in the toilet, and I was pushing for it to come out, and I wanted to die, and I didn't have the balls to, jump off a cliff or something. I was certainly looking for one. And I was drinking, and my head was still going, and I was able to hear myself. And now I regret it. I felt every bruise in my body and how damaged my insides were, and I felt it, and I smelled, and there wasn't enough makeup to fix that up. And these are the circumstances of my bottom, if you be new. I understand that a bottom is something that happens on the inside. It don't got nothing to do with what's going on the outside. These are the circumstances. I was hanging out with the father of that child. We left one another. I forgot something. I went back to where he was, and I walked in on him sleeping with a guy. Those are the circumstances of my bottom. I say God got a sense of humor. I believe God was up there going, if this don't get her. Talk about signs along the way, you know what I mean? Like, geez, what's it going to take for this girl? He got my attention. I was like, ooh, I got a problem. I need help. I was like, I can't do this no more. This is too much. Pistol with me, but not that. It's like, oh my God. He hates that story. His bottom was my bottom. That's what I always tell him anyway. I say he hates that story. The funny thing about it is when I got sober, he came out to California and he got sober too. And then I was like, this is my girlfriend. Go figure. Anyway. He was like, oh, damn. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. So I remember looking at him and I said, I guess you want to be with him. You don't want to be with me no more. And he was only doing what we do to get what we need to get. I just remember that I was tired. And I did the aimless walk. I don't ever want to forget this walk. Aimless walk. No purpose, no agenda, no destination, nothing. Just a walk, man, like out into the abyss. And I walked. The snow was up to my knees. I lived in Queens at the time. I didn't have a coat. I was just walking. I had nothing going on in my head, you know what I mean, about where to go and what to do. I had exhausted everything possible. I was wishing there was a cliff to fall off on. But instead, I ended up in a church. Go figure. On Parsons Boulevard. I don't ever want to forget this day. Keeps me coming back. The door was red, made out of wood. It had those big nails in them. The handle was square, brown wood handle. Oh, I remember that door was so heavy. It was so heavy. I ended up in a church. Me. And I remember I pulled open the door and I heard that clunk, bam, behind me. I felt so dirty, so ugly. And I sat down in the church and I felt a presence. It just engulfed me. There was a presence. It's more like what I continue to feel in the rooms. and I said a prayer. It's a prayer that I believe gets most of us here. I don't hear a whole lot of it today. This prayer was different. It's different than any other prayer. I didn't realize at the time how sincere it was, but I know that it came from the depths of my soul. And I said, God, please allow me to feel the peace that I feel in this church inside of me. I remember it like yesterday. But you see, I didn't want it for a year or for a month or forever. I just wanted one moment for my head to shut up, my insides to stop turning, and for my skin to stop crawling just for a minute. That's all I'm saying. Just for a minute. That's all I want, just for a second. And I left there, and I went to my father's house. You know that this higher power heard me? A God that I renounced a long time ago heard me. I had no idea that prayer was going to change my life. From there, I go to my father's house, and when my dad opens up the door, what happened, God did for me right there what I could not do for myself. When Daddy opened up the door, I looked at him and I said, Daddy, help me. And if anybody knows me, I don't ask for help. I ain't no punk. I don't come from that. For that to come out of my mouth was amazing. I said, Daddy, help me, Daddy. I don't ever want to forget that. I said, I'm sick. I'm sick, Daddy. I'm sick. I can't live like this no more. I don't know what to do. You know, every birthday I call my mother, I call my father, I call my sponsor, my sponsees. I call people and I tell them, another 365, Daddy. Thank you. And you believe it? Daddy be like, wow. Just now it's like 20 years, Daddy. 20 years. My goodness. And my father looked at me and he said, with all the love that a father has for his daughter, he had to watch me slowly kill myself, and there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. He knew he was powerless. He said, but I tell you what, you're standing in the middle of a crossroad and there's three directions you're headed. You're so close to them, you could taste them and you could smell them. And that's jails, mental institutions, and death. There's another road, this thing called recovery. It seems dark and mysterious. You don't know anything about it, and neither do I. But if you give it a try, and if it doesn't work out, the other three will be waiting for you. I always remember what Daddy said, for you see, I stand in that crossroad every day. That fact remains true to me till this day. And my dad and my stepmom put me on a Greyhound bus, and I went out to California, where I thought everybody was sober. I thought California was a sober state. It's still my relationship with California, you know, today. But you see, I came out to California because we have traditions around here. I love the traditions. And one is attraction rather than promotion. My mother has 24 years, and my cousin has 23. And I used to go and visit. Thank you. And I would go visit them in California when I'm running away from somebody, a nervous breakdown and all that. And they used to bring me to meetings. And I would drink before, during, and after. You would have coffee, the meeting after the meeting, and you would order coffee, and I would drink. At no time did I think the seed was being planted or that I was even paying attention. Maybe you ruined my drinking. But when I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of sick and tired, I remembered the faces of the people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I remember the gleam in your eye, that belly laughter that we do around here. Oh, I love that laughter. I love to laugh. I had never experienced that before. The warmth and the camaraderie that you have with one another. I still watch people. I watch people before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. I'm still watching. More importantly, I remember that nobody ever shunned me. They didn't shake their head at me or suck their teeth at me or try to shove a pamphlet down my throat. And for that, I am truly grateful. I believe my ego and my arrogance was so huge, I've been willing to die out there before I proved you right. I detoxed on that Greyhound bus. I threw up, I shook, I sweated, I hallucinated. I was really sick. I love sharing this. I hope one day I meet this man who I believe helped save my life on that bus. I was in El Paso, Texas. I was really, really sick. And I just heard him faintly say, I know what you need. Come with me. I know what you need. I felt like like a war victim, like a wounded soldier. And he put my arm around his neck and he carried me. And I was just holding on to him. And he took me to the bar around the corner from the bus depot and he ordered a drink. I don't remember what it was to this day. He held it to my mouth because I was shaking so bad. I remember slopping it up like a dog that had been out of water. I believe that man saved my life. He knew what I needed. I hadn't been without a drink since fetus. I was really sick. I could have died on that bus. I always talk about one day that man's going to be like, that was me. And I guess it helped me to go the rest of the way to California. And when I arrived in downtown Los Angeles on Union Station, I was wearing a size 1 pair of pants. Oh my goodness, that girl. I'll never want to forget her. I remember recently I told my sponsor, I was like, I'm scared. I don't want to forget her. You know, I'm so far removed from her. We talk about a psychic change. And she said, there's a thing we have around here. It's called a memory. You'll never forget her. I was like, okay. So I had a size 1 pair of pants and 2 pants underneath and a huge sweatshirt. 4 months pregnant with a dead baby in my belly. Didn't have a heartbeat by the time I got here. And my mother picked me up and dropped me off in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous because you told her to. The people there told her she got to leave me alone. Because you see, she couldn't help me. She turned me over to the very people that had saved her life. I got sober in Crenshaw Lano in 9604, and I always say I'm so grateful from the breed I come from. I always feel like a baby in a baby basket left at the doorsteps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous has adopted me. I got pictures of Bill and Dr. Bob and Ann and Lois in my house. I'm like, Uncle Bill and Uncle Bob. That's Auntie Lois and Auntie Ann. Everybody be like, okay. I had to grow up here. I slept in the rooms. I was 3,000 miles away from my home. I had nowhere to go. They gave me chocolate and soda. I always think about Lila. She used to say, just get a banana and any page in the big book will do. I love the old timers. A lot of them are passed on to the big meeting in the sky. And when I talk about them, I get really emotional because they're like family to me. They nursed me, they spoon-fed me, and they loved me, even when I didn't know that I didn't love myself. I'm grateful for the old timers. They were tough. They weren't worried about my feelings. Sometimes I share, people get a little nervous, feels real Nazi or whatever, but they worked for me. I don't know if they talk to everybody like that, but they talk to me. I remember Marcy, I love her so much, she's passed on. Another Puerto Rican woman, tiny like myself, I sat in the back of the room after Mommy dropped me off, and I wasn't going to stand up and say I was a newcomer. I wanted to just act like I could blend in with the rest of y'all. And she walked all the way to the back of the room and she put her hands on her hip and she said, girl, you will stand up and state your name and your disease. I didn't know what I was saying. I just did it because you did it. I said, my name is Thereasa. I'm an alcoholic. She took me from the back of the room and she sat me in the front. She said, you're not sitting in the back of the room again. The back of the room is death row. That's where people chit-chat and take other people's inventory. And she said, you're going to sit down, shut up, and listen. You take the cotton out of your ears, you put it in your mouth because your best thinking got you here. And I sat down. You know, I find that quite odd. I tell people, I know I came in here with character defects. It's just I was too tired to exercise them. When I followed you around like puppy dog, they gave me a sponsor. I'm grateful I didn't have to pick one. I don't know anything about picking or finding a sponsor. I'm a bad picker. I probably would have found the littlest old lady on the oxygen tank who could barely talk. They gave me a sponsor. They said, this woman is your sponsor. And I remember being sassy for a minute. I was like, I thought you were supposed to find somebody you can identify with. They were like, you now identify with her. Talk about smashing of the ego. You know, I got so much. They did a lot of smashing of the ego, which they needed to. My ego needed to be smashed. You told me my best thinking got me here. They said my IQ and my resume, I could leave it at the door. They weren't interested. We're all brilliant alcoholics. And that's what's killing us. I used to hear that it was a simple program for complicated people. It ain't that deep. They used to say, keep it simple, stupid. Everybody's so sensitive today. They used to tell me, keep it simple, stupid. I'd be like, you guys are so harsh. Some people are here today, oh, we're going to scare the newcomer. I'm like, really? There's nothing you could have did here that would have scared me compared to where I came from. Come on. My sponsor had a working knowledge of the steps in the book. That's all I needed to know. I believe in principles before personalities. I wasn't interested. You see, I felt like when I came here, this was the last house on the block. This was like the emergency room. I don't care who I'm with in the emergency room. I got 20 bullet holes in me. I don't even ask for your credentials. I'm dying. That's all I know. I'm dying. My sponsor had a mohawk. She had one glove and an earring. She was between Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. I don't care. I didn't care. She was sober. That's all I needed to know. What more did I need to know about her? I love my sponsor. I watched we trudged together. It was one drunk talking to another. I love the stories. My home group is this women's group Saturday at 5 o'clock on 48th and Crenshaw. Most of us are still there. The women are there that I came when I came there, and the women who've come in after are still there. I love that. And we're crazy. Have some sponsees look at the women and be like, she's crazy. I said, that's growth. Should have seen her when she first came in. I love that about us. A group that doesn't normally mix. I got sober at 9604, man. It's rough. I got sober with people coming off of Skid Row, man. Folks out there was like, are you kidding me, girl? I thought my life was rough. They're like, you ain't talking about nothing. And if you ain't been to Skid Row, we did it for you. That's what he used to tell me. We just did it for you. You ain't got to do it. Now sit down and be quiet. And find out the true nature of what you suffer from. I used to hear you're as sick as your secrets. You ain't got to dance with everybody, but you need to dance with somebody. The program is outlined in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Recently, I brought some of my sponsees over there, right, to the meetings. That's the same message over and over and over. I never heard, I'm like, it's subliminal. I have been brainwashed. I say, you're brainwashing me. They say, your brain needs washing. Everybody's saying the same thing. I didn't get to fire my sponsor. I find that funny. Or find another sponsor or nothing like that. To go to who? Everybody's saying the same thing. Who I'm going to change her to go where? For her to tell me the same thing she said. The same sponsor. I was talking about Leon Strange. He came at 2 days a week and sat down and we went through the big book line by line, word by word. Looked up words in the dictionary. Did I get it? It didn't matter. I was sober. He wasn't there to make sure that the light bulb came on. The time that I was sitting there, the time that I was sitting in the room, I wasn't drinking. That's all I needed to know, that I wasn't drinking. I prayed for the obsession to be removed because you did it. I'm just grateful that nothing made sense to me when I got here. I share this sometimes with sponsees. I'm like, I'm not looking for you to go, oh, I get that. That's so interesting. Got it. I'm like, really? I'm grateful I didn't get it. I did the work because thousands of men and women had recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I believe because you believe. I did it because you did it. You were drunk like me. You had been where I had been. You had done what I had done. You had seen what I had seen, and you weren't doing it anymore. So let's just go with that. Let's just give it a try. I've continued to do the work. I heard it was action and more action. I did it even when I didn't want to. I said, I've done the uncomfortable until it became comfortable. I ran to the steps. I had no other choice. I put down the drink and I picked up the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know no in between. I ain't got one. I'm a sick person, untreated. I'm scary. I suffer from a soul sickness, from a spiritual malady. It must be treated. They hammered that. You know what we talk about in the chapter, Working with Others. It says, burn into the consciousness of every man to trust in God and clean house. That's what they did to me. Trusting God, clean house. Trusting God, clean house. Trusting God. That's all they ever told me. Something was going on, keep coming back. Trusting God, clean house. Program is outlined, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Go to the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You too can recover. That's the only answers I ever got to any situation that was going on in my life. They'd be like, oh, I don't know, I should be with a boyfriend. The program is outlined, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I gotta pay bills. Program is outlined, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I love that because it's in there throughout the whole book. Problem, solution, promise. Problem, solution, promise. Anything that's going on in my life is right there. I love you. Thank you so much. I was listening to the big book works. It's so true. I believe in the promises that tell me how I can go back out. I pay attention to all of that. They spoon-fed me this program through that book. I think about people in countries that didn't have thousands of meetings to choose to go to, that got that book and did what was outlined in that book and began going to hospitals and institutions looking for other drunks. I tell people in California, we got over 3,000 meetings in the greater Los Angeles area. How spoiled are we? There are meetings in other countries that they got one. You think you're worried about who's in that meeting? It's only 6 of them. Then I don't like that meeting. Could you imagine? I don't like those people. And they come here for a social club. This is a life and death errand. I suffer from something that's really intense. I love that. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. I make fun of people. People say, repeat that. Cunning, baffling, powerful. I'm like, do you know what that really means? Yeah. This is deadly disease. It's lurking in the corners, doing push-ups. It's still progressive. I've always said, I know I got another drunk in me. I'm an alcoholic. So people think drinking is not an option. It is an option for me. The fact that I don't drink, it's a miracle. Because of a loving God. Because of the spiritual work that I do allows me not to take a drink today. Watch me not do it and see what happens. Of course it's an option. But I don't think I have another recovery. I don't know what that is, and I hope I never lose it, but I'm telling you, I have learned to drink is to die. To drink is to die. That's what to drink is to die. Not to go on vacation, not to take a break, not to go have fun for a minute and come back. For me is to die. I'm grateful for those who have gone out and come back. That is not part of the recovery. I didn't learn that. That's part of this illness that we suffer from. And I thank you for doing it for me. Now let somebody do it for you. Because we do recover. I believe this program works. I tell people, you cannot tell me there isn't a God and this program does not work. Look at me. I get a little excited. I'm like, look what it's done to a drunk like me. What more is there to say? They say we carry this message. What message? To take a drunk like me, and all of a sudden today I'm not drinking. I'm a productive member of society. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm a companion. I'm other-centered. It's crazy. It still blows me away. I love how Sandy says, thank God we're not all crazy on the same day. I love that. I get to be a human being rather than a human doing. I get to make mistakes. Even our traditions teach me it's okay to be wrong. I always say I put one hand in God and one hand in Alcoholics Anonymous. My relationship with my higher power has changed throughout the years. For I have changed. You told me to have a God of my own understanding. I'm never going to know God, for God is infinite. That's what the book tells me. The day I know God is the day where it's scary. That's why it says a God of my own understanding, at the level of consciousness that I am today. And tomorrow it'll be different. When things are really bad, they just say, this too shall pass. And when things are really good, they just say, this too shall pass. I don't get too comfortable. So I just keep doing the work. I clean house and I trust in God. And I just clean house. And I become an observer. And I get to observe what God does for me that I cannot do for myself. I'm amazed today the things that come out of my mouth. That I have a sense of integrity and grace and beauty. And I go, oh my goodness, was that you? Did you see that? She's such a lady. And I don't know how not to give this thing away. After my first year, my sponsor said, it ain't about you no more. I don't go to the meetings to take and suck the life out of a meeting. I go to the meeting to put up a chair and to make sure there's coffee there for the new guy walking in like you did for me. You know what I mean? I get real emotional about that. Because people were there. There was a seat there for me when I got there. And I made sure there's a seat there for you when you walk in there. And I made sure that I'm sitting up and I'm showing the newcomer how serious recovery is for me, because I watch people and they were serious about their recovery. It was a matter of life and death for them, which taught it to be for me. It was about attraction and an example, and I watched them, and I did. I'm a parrot. You know, I mimic people. I've always acted like I'm a leader. I've always been a follower. And I did what you did. And so today I go to the meeting and I sit up straight. And I pay attention because I know the new guy's looking. And I make sure he got coffee and there's a chair. And I do for him what they did for me. I said, sweep the floor, pick up the chairs. Let's go, let's do this. I think about Mark. I miss him dearly. Saying I would hate for you to miss out the experience of helping someone else. Love and service is our code. Love and tolerance, patience. I go to hospitals and I look for drunks because that's what they did. What's going on in my life today? I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an aunt. I'm a sponsee and I'm a sponsor. I'm a child of God. I found out God don't make no junk. I am a servant. I've become a channel. I tell people, what do you think you're praying for? I love the prayers that we have in this book. We say the prayers and then we wonder why stuff's jumping off. I'm like, do you remember what you prayed for? Today, my brother has cancer, stage 4, second bout. My mother has Alzheimer's. My father has Parkinson's. My uncle just died from Hep C and cancer with 12 years of sobriety. My brother's a single parent. He's got 2 boys, 12 and 7. They love their titi. I just moved from California to St. Paul, Minnesota. It's for a little bit. My brother's going to seminary school there to be a pastor. And I was taught to be of service. And some people say it's a wonderful thing to give back to your family. The miracle that's happening in my life is this is a family that didn't give me anything. But there's some principles we learn around here, and it's about forgiveness. And I get to suit up and I get to show up and I be of maximum service if that's what God would have me be and do. And I dance the dance, and I'm willing to clean house and look at myself and do what's necessary that blocks me from the sunlight of the Spirit. Because that's what the book tells me that I have to do whether I like it or not. Because you see, I've been given a gift. I get to be of service to my brother. Do I want to be in Minnesota? No. Do I like the fact my brother has cancer? Absolutely not. He's my only brother. I don't have to like it. But you taught me to accept it. There's a prayer. Acceptance is the key to all my problems today. And selfish and self-centered is the root of all my troubles. From it forms all types of diseases and illness, and I can't afford to have resentment, and anger is not a luxury that I can live with. So I get to have it, and I get to share it, and I get to tell it to you, and then you get to tell me how you got to the other side. And I get to apply those steps in my life, and I get to see God do for me what I cannot do for myself. I tell people I cannot pat myself on the back. This is not a program that you pull yourself up from the bootstraps and change your behavior. This is not behavior cognitive therapy. It's not. It trips me out. New people, I love new people. Like, I'm going to get it together. I'll be like, let me know how that works for you. I've been trying to do that for years. That's what's going on in my life today. I'm of service. And my buddy Ralph White said, let me see you create the fellowship you crave in Minnesota. God's got a job for me. I just go do it. Because I said I offer myself to thee to do with me and to build me. Relieve me of the bondage of self. I've come to understand that this higher power is gentle and so loving and so caring, but he's not a puppeteer. That there is some work that I must do. I'm not as self-centered today that think that God is only taking care of Thereasa. I recognize that today God has made me one of his warriors and his angels, and he gets to send me out in this thing called life. That I clean house. I get to extend my hand to his other angels and warriors, and we get to do this thing together. I'm so grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous. How could I not be? The funny thing is that I have a daily reprieve. Continued upon my spiritual maintenance. And lately what's been ringing in my head is insanity returns and then we drink again. And I shared recently, say this, I was always taught you're as sick as your secrets. And I live transparent. I live in a glass house. I say my house is like an AA meeting with no trusted servants. He's got coffee going on, the phone's going. I think an alcoholic invented the DVR. Just press pause, come back to it later. But I was really concerned about going to Minnesota because I've heard a lot of people go out when they take care of sick family members. And there's crisis going on. And I've already went to AA and old timers and people out in Minnesota and sharing with them. And I'm like, I don't want to drink. And I don't want to get so caught up taking care of my family that I forget. And I know what it is to live in the hospitals all day long. My brother's getting blood transfusions and going into his heart. And the boys need to eat. And next thing you know, the day goes by. And so all I know how to do is to reach out and say, help. So I got like this Skype thing going on and doing meetings on the video and asking people to come to my house late at night. After everybody's asleep, I went to the VA. My brother's at the Veterans, and I went to their alcohol addiction thing and said, you got meetings here, and can I volunteer, and where are the drunks, Well, my brother's with all those tubes. I can leave and go talk to a drunk in the bed, or that's all I know how to do. Because I don't want to drink. I'm so scared. I remember I was terrified of alcohol. Now I respect it. And again, I hope I never lose the desire to want to stop drinking. Every day I wake up in the morning and I say, do I have a desire to stop drinking? Yep, you remember. And then I go, what can I contribute to life? And I laugh at myself. I go, you're so funny. If you be new, it's real simple. We just keep coming back. It works if you work it. Nobody ever promised me no bed of roses. Out in 9604, they say the only thing we guarantee you is sobriety. You want anything else, go get a job. And I love to tell the newcomer, look at me, watch me, walk with me, talk with me. And it's going to be all right. Just hold on, it's going to be all right. I understand. If nobody told you they love you today, I do. And I could say that because I love me today more than ever. The only one that could love me more is God. I found that I'm one of his favorites. I don't apologize for my relationship with God today. There's so much in the pause. I'll end with what my sponsor has told me recently. I told my sponsor, with all the things that are going on in my life, I feel a sense of peacefulness and serenity, and I see nothing but love and goodness. And I feel so calm. And even though I'm not crazy about what's going on, I still feel all right. What's going on? Am I in denial? And she said, welcome, you have been rocketed into the fourth dimension. I'll keep doing the work. It's been like this for a while. But you never know, this too shall pass. You might see me next week, I'm like, ah! But the beauty is, again, with the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, with the fellowship, unity, recovery, and service, and I'm in the middle of the herd, I think I'm going to be all right. I think I'm going to be all right. So we just take it one day at a time. So if you'd be new again, welcome. I like the people with I was tripping out. You know, I'll be feeling left out. I didn't get a star. I didn't get a hug thingy. What's happening? I was like, and it's funny because I'm walking with people who have the stars, right? Somebody's like, can I get your signature? I'm like, I was asking my signature. Angie got a hug thingy. Getting hugs. Everybody got a hug Angie. You're going to hear her tomorrow. I love her so much. But I told her I'm going to one day sing Amazing Grace in Spanish. She sings it in English, and it's beautiful, but y'all might leave if I sing it in Spanish. So I won't do it. I've enjoyed all the speakers. I always feel like a kid in a candy store when I come to conferences, and God is really good allowing me to just go to new places. I got new friends. I got new family, everybody. And so I want to thank you so much for loving me and so I can learn to love myself. And I want to thank you for allowing the God in you to help discover the God in me. And so that I, in return, can do the same thing for so many others still sick and suffering. Thank you so much for allowing me.